PR Connections Radio presents.
Hey, business owners. Want to get your brand in front of thousands of locals in Vegas without blowing your budget on overpriced ads? Ready to boost your visibility? Use promo code PRTalk for an exclusive offer. Click the link in the description or contact 702-445-9488 to talk to our experts today. Vegas is watching. Make sure they see you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Evelyn's Roundtable. This podcast highlights a host of relevant topics. Our conversations share voices of women of color, Black women veterans and veterans, allies, candidates, and elected officials, entrepreneurs, teachers, students, and others. We also explore important issues and challenges such as grassroots leadership, job training, homelessness, and mental health advocacy, accountability, male inclusion, and civics. Our mission statement is to empower all women. Do you hear me? All women to hold hands as we rise. Well, hello there. I like saying this part. Dr. Sandra Cosgrove.
It's nice to be here, Miss Evelyn.
Well, I am just, wow. There's a lot that we got to get to tonight.
Ooh,
I just want to also say thank you to Dana and for all that she does and PR Connections. Thank you all for letting us do this right here. But let's just get into it. I really want to get into the juicy and talk about the open primaries in New York. Can you give us an update on that and why we're so excited about this?
So in New York, they actually had a closed primary, but they use ranked choice voting. And there are just so many Democrats in New York City, especially. Whoever wins in the primary is going to probably win in the general election. There is a group that's actively trying to also get the primary to be open, but they were able to get ranked choice voting in first. And we saw upsets. We saw double the number of young people turned out to vote. They went and registered all kinds of new people to vote who had never participated before. And people really felt like they could be empowered. They felt like I can use strategy. I don't have to just go with the establishment candidate. I can go with my heart. I can go with my second choice because a lot of the people that did Mandami picked Brad Landon second. And I think because people felt empowered, they turned out and they voted. And it made a big difference.
Yes, and I didn't even think about it because we jumped into it. Can you explain to everyone that's listening tonight what ranked choice voting is and what open primary? I forgot about that part. Sorry, everybody, but yes, can you?
No, I mean, it was exciting. So ranked choice voting allows you to rank your candidates in order. And that way it can do an instant runoff. So it requires somebody to get 50% plus one to win. So no more of this. There's 5 candidates running and someone wins with 25% of the vote and 75% of the voters voted for somebody else. And so what happens if nobody gets to that 50% plus one, then the person with the least number of votes, that candidate drops off. And then they say, for the people who voted for this person, what was their second choice? And then their second choice votes go to their second choice candidates. And you just do that really instant runoff very quickly until somebody gets to 50% plus one. So even though Zohan Mandami technically won, he had like 48% of the vote on election night, and that was the most of all the candidates. He couldn't win until he had 50% plus one. But he knew, and Andrew Cuomo knew he was going to win that next Tuesday because Brad Landon, who came in third, who was also running for governor, he saw the way things were going and he said to Mandami, I want to campaign with you. I'm going to tell my voters, you vote first for me, him for second. And Mandami said, vote first for me, vote for Brad second. And they went around campaigning together, not saying you're bad, you're awful, don't vote for that guy, vote for me. They went around arm in arm saying, we're going to come together as a team. And Landon got 15,000 votes. And that was more than enough for Mandami to get to 51%. So that's why Andrew Cuomo that night said, yeah, I'm out. You won. Congratulations. But it was a strategy that we heard here in Nevada was too confusing. It was just going to be so confusing. We would just never be able to do it. And yet young voters, as soon as it was explained to them, went, oh, I get this. This allows me to make sure the person I don't want can't get elected. And so they were then able to use their strategic 4 votes to make sure they did not rank the person, which was Andrew Cuomo. Nobody wanted him because he was the establishment candidate and has all kinds of baggage, to make sure he couldn't win. And so there was no confusion. Candidates were telling people how to rank, the TV stations, the newspaper, even the Wall Street Journal had to rank your bagels. And they don't like ranked choice voting. It's not confusing. Everyone understood it. And now they just need to get open primary so that anybody can participate and be empowered.
No, I totally agree with you on this. And can you let everyone know too about your ballot question that you did concerning this too?
So I was a big supporter of ballot question number 3, which was the open primaries ranked choice voting. And we won the first time. So in 2022, we won, and we just missed it in 2024 after the Democratic Party had a meltdown and basically said the world was going to end if ballot question 3 passed. And then we just watched what happened in New York. And guess what? The sun came up the next morning. It didn't end. And so what we're going to do is we're going to break the 2 things in half, the 2 reforms in half. I actually think for Nevada, the open primary is more important than ranked choice voting. In New York, they thought ranked choice voting would be better to go with first. I think here it's open primary because in Nevada, 35% of our voters, the largest group of voters, are registered as nonpartisans, so independents. They're not affiliated with either party. They're like, yeah, I don't like either of you right now. Want to stay registered to vote, which is good, but I just want to kind of sit out and not be affiliated. But all of our top of the ballot races are closed primaries. So you have to be a Democrat or a Republican to participate in those elections, even though everybody, all the taxpayers, pay for those elections. And so I think it's especially important here because we have such a large group that are about to be shut out of our very important, like our Attorney General, Secretary of State, Governor, members of Congress. Those are all closed primaries. Even though nonpartisans are paying the tax dollars to run those primaries, they're going to be told, no, you cannot participate. So I think here, open primary is going to be more important. So September 2nd is the first day we can file ballot questions for the next go around. And Doug Goodman and I, we partner on these things. We're going to file a ballot question to do open primary. It's going to happen. If anybody thinks that I was going to stop, you are wrong. That is not going to happen.
No.
Ever.
No. If anybody knows you, they know
Ever.
that it wasn't over, right? And I just, but you already know that I've been hanging with you on this anyways. And
we're in it for the long haul.
Yes. And in the meetings that we went to, I couldn't believe the nastiness that people and things are being said to you and about you. And I'm like, no, I mean, calling you a racist and saying that you're doing things and you're trying to set everybody up. And I'm thinking, no, wait a minute. That's not true.
That's apparently a lot of power that I have that apparently I was not aware of.
And the funding was coming from other states and all that.
The outside billionaire argument. Yeah, there was outsiders who helped put a lot of money in that. But you know what? We're going to have a ballot question on this time. It's the putting the abortion protection into the Nevada Constitution. That's being funded by the governor of Illinois, who's an outside billionaire. So the side that was saying your ballot question's bad because it's funded by an outside billionaire also did a lot of their gun ballot questions. Michael Bloomberg, outside billionaire. Tom Steyer did all of their clean energy. So not only are they hypocrites, but they're liars.
Yeah, because that wasn't true what was going on, because you were the main one that was here talking about it and pushing it. And there's some others here in this state that actually got paid to push and to talk about it. And that didn't happen.
Nope.
But they got paid to do that. Why me, you, and others weren't getting paid nothing and putting flyers, going to meetings. you're even on the on boards. You were like panels. I mean, not boards.
Mhm.
You're on
Yeah, no, I
panels.
did debates and yeah. But what we saw in New York tells you why, especially the Democrats had such a meltdown, because they could not get their establishment candidate through that race in New York. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of ranked choice voting because it empowers the rest of us to block their establishment candidate. That's why they're mad, and that's why they came after me. So when people come after me like that and they're all frothing at the mouth, I'm like, oh, you're afraid, aren't you? Why are you afraid? And then that tells me I need to push a little bit harder.
Yes, I've learned a lot from you with that because sometimes I'll have my own meltdown and I'll call you 3 or 4 times in one day. I can't do it. What's going on? And you just be like, calm down.
It's
It's
all
gonna
right.
be okay. And I'm like, I'm still, and then the next
It's hard.
day I tell you, okay.
It's hard though. When the other side's all frothing at the mouth and just being crazy, it's hard.
And especially when you're not doing anything wrong, right?
Nope.
You're not doing nothing wrong, nothing hurtful.
No, as a Nevadan, I have a constitutional right to support ballot initiatives and to sign a ballot petition and to advocate for ballot petitions. And I know because I teach my students this. There's a thing called the ad hominem fallacy. And that's when you attack the person's character as opposed to their argument. So the more they were attacking me personally, the more I knew they could not actually attack the argument that I was making. And so when they do those types of things, that just tells me that they can't actually come back at the argument and argue correctly to debunk it or to make it not true.
Yes. This is, and even now, there's more independent voters than there is Democrats or Republicans right now in the state of Nevada.
Right. Yeah. So nonpartisan voters are 35%. And Democrats and Republicans, which are losing thousands of voters every month, are down at 29% each. And yet they think they should be able to control our democracy.
Yeah, especially what happened up in that legislation this time. Oh my gosh. And then too, we can talk about how at the end of legislation that one of the assembly members put a bill out there. Can you explain that and talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so anybody that's been through a legislative session knows it gets really chaotic in the last 2 weeks. And so that very last week, there was a lot of kind of kerfuffle on social media that the speaker, Steve Yeager, was going to put up an open primary bill. And we were all kind of surprised because he was one of the worst on social media attacking me, saying that I was somehow going to hurt people because I was trying to force ranked choice voting on these apparently not smart people who were then going to be disenfranchised. He was the one that sponsored the open primary. And so what it was a semi-open primary. It basically said if you are registered as a nonpartisan, you can walk into a polling location. And right now, without that bill, you can say, I would like to change my voter registration to be a Democrat or a Republican and then vote. You can do that right now. This just said you wouldn't have to change your registration. You could just say, I want to vote a Democratic ballot or a Republican ballot, not have to do the change. And he even said during his explanation of his bill that every month there is more nonpartisan voters, and this is a reality the parties are going to have to deal with. So he admitted it. Now, obviously, I would prefer to have just a completely open primary, but if this is what we could get, that's fine by me. But the governor vetoed it. So it passed, party line vote. The Democrats passed it, sent it over to the governor. And the governor said that he was vetoing it because people rejected open primary back in November when they rejected ballot question 3. And that is not true. Ballot question 3 included open primary, but it was completely nonpartisan open primary. There was nothing similar. So that was not true. And when we file our ballot question in September, I can bring that up.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And when I was sitting there, the one time that you were on the panel, that was interesting for me, everybody on here. I went out there, it was an anthem, right?
Yeah, we were at an anthem.
Yes,
yeah, all the way out there.
Way out there, everybody. Past South Point. Like way past that. And it was just, I wanted to go because I wanted to support you. But it wasn't like on a Sunday or something like that too. I don't think it was it was like a Sunday or Saturday. It was something like that.
I think it was like Saturday evening.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go because, I understood it. And to be, not to finish the conversation, but my grandbaby figured it out too. She did a little video on pizza to show how she even understood it. And at the time she was 12 or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, so she figured it out. But anyways, so I went there and I'm sitting in the front row and let Sandra know, I'm here and everything. The panel's up there and everything. And I'm just like, yeah, this is going to be good. There's not going to be any nasty stuff happening as far as, what same people. But then when I heard it was too confusing, oh my goodness, my whole mouth just went bam, it just dropped. And I thought, what do you mean it's too confusing? And so when I went to go, then you made a comment too after that when he went out.
When we first filed ballot question 3 back in 2020 to get ready for the 2022 or 2021 to get ready for the 2022 election cycle, the first statements that leaders of the Democratic Party put out was that they were opposed to ranked choice voting because it was too confusing for people of color. And as soon as they put that statement out, a reporter texted it to me and said, "Isn't this racist?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." And he said, "Do you want to come back over to the studio and answer some questions about that?" And I was appalled that they would say something like that. As a professor at a community college, I would be fired for saying something like that, for saying that my students of color were not smart enough to understand something. Yeah. And then there was a lot of pushback against that. So they stopped saying that. They just started saying it's just too confusing. It's just too confusing. I don't know why counting 5 was confusing, but they just kept saying it was too confusing. So the panel that I was on was with the attorney that often works with the Democratic Party. And I found it interesting that they sent their attorney to debate me. It's like of y'all, you have to send your attorney to debate the community college professor. Okay, that tells me something. Mm-hmm. And as it was going along, then he brought up the Pennsylvania study, and I knew what he was about to say. And he said that the Pennsylvania study showed that it was too confusing for people of color. And the whole room went berserk and started yelling at him. And I know your face just dropped. And I said, I am highly offended by that. And I said, and I pointed to you and said, I am highly offended, but you've just offended my friend. And then you went and got a card to say, why do you think I'm dumb, to put on a card and handed it to Steve Sebelius.
Yes.
He never asked that question, but wow, that was a moment.
That was, and that's changed everything, because you were saying it, everybody's like, okay, Sandra's saying it, but to be right there in the room at the moment and hear this guy that's a lawyer say that, I was, wow. And I know they seen me pop up right away, right? And I was sitting in the very front too, right? Yeah. So I pop up and I'm like, wait a minute. I want a card. And yeah, I want to know why. And for them not to answer that. And then even afterwards, right? Everybody left early. They wouldn't even let us even ask the question that way.
Yeah. And we just saw in New York, which has highest immigrant populations, people of color, the most diversity of probably any city in the United States, had absolutely no problem understanding ranked choice voting.
Yeah, they did it. They did it. And then too, there's another state right now that's working on it too, right?
Well, Washington, D.C., my friend Lisa Rice has been in charge of the ballot question there. And they passed it, 63% of the vote. I mean, it was well over a majority. But then the D.C. Council, which is controlled by the Democratic Party, refused to fund it. And so they have just been in a knockdown, drag out battle with their own city council, trying to get them to allocate the money to do the implementation of ranked choice voting. It got so bad, the Washington Post editorial board wrote an editorial basically telling the DC Council, you need to honor what your voters just voted for. They just directed you to implement that ballot question. Do it. And the DC Council just met a few days ago and they funded it.
Good. Yes. I spoke with Lisa.
But that's crazy.
Yes.
Yep. So
Yeah.
we'll tackle open primary first, and then we'll talk about ranked choice voting again. If we do it maybe at the county level first, or we do specific races. But I'm not going to let it go because I watched the young people in New York get so excited, and the young people who say my vote doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if I show up or not, heard about ranked choice voting and thought, I think I should vote. I think this will help me. I think my voice will matter. And they turned out and their voice mattered.
Yes. Yes, they did. It was something that, wow. And then now DC is doing it, and
Right.
so I'm just like, well, again, why can't Vegas do that?
Right.
It's like
I mean, maybe we could do it at the county level. Maybe we need to start in school board races, or we start small and then show people it's not that hard to do. And then that way that we can just then push it upward.
Yes, I think that would help a lot, especially those that about funding, right? They don't have the big money from the big donors and things like that, right? This would help them also.
Right. I mean, and then in the New York race, there were 11 candidates. And one of the things we heard, because we wanted to do open primary top 5, is, how are people going to, if they have 5 candidates, that's just going to be too overwhelming. There was 11 candidates in the New York race. People managed. They were not overwhelmed. And what we saw is we saw like AOC, and we saw the Working Families Party, and we saw different organizations, SEIU, put out endorsements. And they said, our endorsement is to rank this way, to put them in this order, this way. How is that confusing? If you're going to use an endorsement now, you could use an endorsement with ranked choice voting.
And it's just interesting to me, though, too, that different states have different supporters, right? You would think SEIU and others would being there already in AFL-CIO too, right? If they're supporting in these other states, then now that's confusing to me.
Right.
That why is Nevada not doing it? And AFL is the same, SEIU is the same.
But there's supporters in California and in Oregon. Yeah. There's too much connection between some organizations and the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the big groups here that was no against it was Planned Parenthood. Why is Planned Parenthood being involved in a ballot question like this?
Yeah. I think they got other things that they're doing, right? We're doing
that. There's other stuff
bill here, right?
Right.
That has to pass again here. So I think they got some other things going on that they need to be checking out and paying.
So when we get ready to file the open primary ballot question this time around, I'm going to put out a press release to all the reporters and say, look, I'm putting the Democrats on notice right now. If you sue us on this, I'm going to spend the whole election cycle going after you for shutting out people, for suppressing the vote, for saying that nonpartisan voters shouldn't have the same voting rights as other people, for not empowering young people to be able to turn out and feel like their voice matters. Because they say all those things, and then every time we try to do those things here, they sue us to stop us.
Yes, they do find that, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, that's something though. But this is the way to include everybody.
We'll get there.
This is, and it's not a new way or it's still the Democratic and the Republican Party. That hasn't changed. It's just on how we're voting. That's
right.
How it's included.
And I know on the Republican side, they're like, well, we don't want non-Republicans picking our candidates. Okay, well, the U.S. Supreme Court says if taxpayers want to have the primary just to decide who moves forward, we're paying for the election, we can do that. If the parties want to pick their nominee, they can pay for a convention or a caucus like the Republicans did in the presidential preference primary. Remember, they decided not to participate in the regular primary, so they had a separate caucus. They can do that. Pay for it yourself and decide who your nominee is going to be that way.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand why neither parties are scared of it. Well, we know why they're scared of it, but
their power.
It should have passed. It should have. I was really surprised when Governor Lombardo did that.
Well, he's up
Right.
for re-election. He's got to get out of a close primary. And so he knows his primary base has been told not to like this. So he's got to kind of not like this. But that's fine. We'll just do a ballot question. And then I know a lot of Republicans who want open primary. It was Ben Kekeffer, who was a Republican, who was a state senator in 2021, who put an open primary bill up that the Democrats refused to give a hearing. He was a Republican.
Yes, I remember that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so I think there was a lot of Republicans that voted for ballot question 3. And all we're going to have to do is once we file the ballot question, we're going to need to get about 165,000 signatures, but we're just going to start putting the word out. If you voted yes on 3, here's how you can get in contact with us to sign this petition. Because there was over 600,000 people who voted yes on 3. We only need 160,000 signatures.
That's going to be good.
So it's doable.
It's definitely, like you said, you don't give up, you keep going. And even though you got a bunch of daggers in your back and everything else, you just keep moving with it.
Now I know why when the women were trying to get the vote, why the scary women were the older women. Because they get to the point where it's like, that's it, I've had it. I am not playing games with you anymore.
Yes, that's how I feel about the Vietnam veterans.
Yep.
That way, because I'm like,
yep.
You think I'm something? Did you hear how Vietnam veterans talk? Oh my gosh! I'm like, wow.
Yep.
Yeah. To the point. Let's do this. All of that. Well, let's get into civics.
Okay.
I know. Since I've been doing civics, it's something because people keep trying to drag the political part in this. They keep trying to say, oh, that's politics. I'm like, no, it's not. Civics is not politics, everybody. It's the explanation of what you're doing and how you're doing things. It's the explanation part of it.
It's our system.
Yes. Yeah. So can you explain to us the difference of civics and why we need it?
Sure. So I hear that too. People will say, well, I don't do politics. I'm like, no, civics and politics, I say, just like you said, they're different things. Politics is this, are you advocating for one party over another party? Are you supporting one party over another party to get elected, just their bills? Civics is the process. So if I tell you the process of how a bill goes from being drafted to get to the governor's desk, that's not politics, that's a civic process. If I explain to you how I do a ballot question, those are the rules that I have to follow in order to be able to get my ballot question out, get it qualified, get it on the ballot. That's just civics. That doesn't have anything to do with the political parties. But I think, unfortunately, the political parties don't want us to know civics because they like to have power and they like to keep us in the dark. So they tell us that civics is politics because they know a lot of us don't like politics right now. That is not true. We can sit and talk for hours. Well, you and I do. We talk for hours and hours about process and how we're going to do things. And we don't ever bring up the parties or who the people are. We're just talking about what are the steps we're going to take to get something done. Our young people at CSN, we put out a survey last semester because after the election, we found that a lot of young people didn't vote. And so we sent a survey out to our students and said, hey, if you were one of these young people, would you mind telling us why you didn't vote? And there were some who were mad. There was reasons why they were mad because Biden stayed in. They were mad about Gaza. They were mad about something. But there were a bunch that said, I looked at the ballot and I didn't know what those offices did. And I was afraid I would make a mistake, so I didn't vote. That's a failure of civics.
Yes. We need to really be doing that right now because and even when I went up there with the granddaughters up to Carson City with them and I asked them to ask questions and the 13-year-old grandbaby she asked, the attaches because no one was in their office when we went there, which I have a problem with. But she asked the attaches, they're like, are you putting this information on how the process works? And they couldn't even answer her.
Right.
Because they're not doing it.
Right.
And that's a 13-year-old asking that. And the other one asked about, what are you doing in the community to help the community? And again, we were only asking the attaches because those that were the assembly and the senators are supposed to be at those tables and questionnaire. They weren't there either, Right. But I think that was pretty good questions for 11 and 13-year-old to be asking. And for you to think they're not paying attention, well, obviously
They
they
are.
are paying attention.
Right.
They are.
And the thing about our legislature is that they exempt themselves from the open meeting law and they exempt themselves from the Public Records Act, which makes it then very hard for members of the public to know what's going on. Because if you are following open meeting law, you have to put your agenda out a week in advance. It has to go to the public. The public needs to know where you're going to meet, what time, and you have to do exactly what's on that agenda. I am the chair of the Sunrise Manor Town Board. So we do all like the zoning variances and stuff. If you want to build a shed, you have to come and we have to sign off on it. I have to follow open meeting law. I have to make sure I have that agenda in front of me and I have to go exactly as in order, or I can be in trouble per the law. But our legislature exempts themselves from that. So they want to make sure that we don't know that they are not following the rules. Because if we know that, then that makes us mad at them because it makes it very hard for us to be engaged. So they don't want us to know what the process actually is. Because if you know what the process is supposed to be, you're knowing that they're not following it.
Yes. And we know that. Which brings me to something else that that you're working on to make changes up there in the legislation. You and Doug, especially
Yep.
Doug, is really working on trying to change some things. Can you talk about that?
Sure.
I always
Home
mess
rule.
it up when I say it, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's home rule.
Yes.
Yeah, so Nevada is what's called a Dillon's Rule state. There was a judge in Iowa in 1868 where there was a conflict going on in Iowa between some of the counties in Iowa and their state legislature. And the counties were making the argument that they could give themselves power to do things that were within their jurisdiction. And the legislature said, no, you can't do that. Only we can give you power. So they went to court and it got appealed up to their state Supreme Court. And the judge that authored the opinion, the majority opinion, was Judge Dillon. And he said, no, all power flows down. So it flows from the U.S. Constitution to Congress, Congress to the state, and then state down to the localities. So he said, nope, legislature has all the power. The legislature has to give the counties and cities power before they can do anything. So in Nevada, we're Dillon's Rule state. And so all the power, almost all the power, when it comes to money, when it comes to writing bills and regulations, lies with our legislature. And that's one of the reasons why they're having a hard time getting things done, is as we become a bigger and more complex state, you can't do everything in 120 days, especially when you're playing partisan games. And so in the past, we've said maybe we should do annual sessions, but we're all tired of the games that they play, especially at the end where they suspend all the rules. And so we're saying, no, we would like to do at least some type of modified home rule and just say there are certain things we want the counties and the cities and the boards to do. Maybe workforce development. Maybe it's mental health. Take some stuff off the plate of the legislature that the cities and the counties and maybe the school boards and the Board of Regents could be doing. And then that way, the people at the local level, they meet full-time, year-round, and we can see them all the time. They're not up in Carson City. They're not there every other year. They're here all the time. So if we took some big important things and pushed it down and said, no, we want the counties, the cities, and maybe some boards to handle this, then on a daily basis, we could go to the county commission and talk about childcare or workforce development. And they are not allowed to exempt themselves from the open meeting law or the Public Records Act. So they have to put the agenda out. They have to follow their timeline. They can't say we're going to do this hearing at Thursday at 4 and then kick it down and say, no, it's going to be at 7. If they say it's going to be Thursday at 4, it's Thursday at 4. And so we're talking to people at the city and the county level, asking them what they think. Obviously, they would like to have a little more power. There was a bill this session. They had to pass a law to allow the Reno City Council to remove one of their planning commissioners. They had to pass a law to allow the city council to remove a planning commissioner. That is crazy. They shouldn't be doing that. That stuff should be handled at the local level. And so if they can't get things done, which there were some major things they didn't get done this time,
Yes.
then we just need to pull some stuff off their plate and push it down to the local level.
There was a lot of things, even the Secretary of State.
Yeah. The Secretary of State has an operations bill all of the agencies' heads will have an operations bill that'll say, this is what I need to run my office for the next 2 years. The bill to run the Secretary of State's office for the next 2 years didn't get passed.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's so
It's
horrible.
like, how did you miss that?
Yeah, and we need a lot done with that, right? Verification of signatures, a
Yeah,
lot of
so
things that needed to happen.
so we're hoping there's maybe some other ways that he can get help, or maybe there might be a special session because of what's going on in Washington D.C. right now. So if there has to be a special session because they're doing, you're probably hearing the term rescission with what's happening in Congress. The Trump administration is trying to take money that Congress already allocated to the states and claw it back. And so if they're clawing back a bunch of the education funding, if they claw back a bunch of the Medicaid funding, that's going to put a hole in our budget. So we might have a special session in October. They might have to come back in and realign things. So hopefully stuff that didn't make it through the session that just ended will get done then.
Yes, it's really important to pay attention to the session. Like you said, they don't make it easy to do it. And
Nope.
and again, that's where the civics come in, that they should be explaining that, especially like I said, if a 13-year-old is asking, why, who are you talking to in the community
Right.
about what you're doing? Obviously, and yeah, this is yeah. They want us to be where they're at. They don't want us to be anything else, but they want us to be there. They want us to rah rah rah, and they want us to vote, but they want us just to shut up, sit down, and go sit in the corner and don't
Right.
ask why you're voting and who you're voting for. But you need to vote because no,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
We
No,
we
they
want
want
proof
us to
now.
think things are confusing. They want us to think only they know what's going on because in that way they have all the power.
Yeah. And the people, by the people, for the people. That's where the power is supposed to be at, everybody.
Right.
And I just want to, one more thing too about civics and how me and you went to Trades Women Build
Yeah.
Nations, which is organization that is supposedly supposed to be supporting women in trades. But yeah, we can go. That's a whole nother feature
Well,
right there on that.
that's on our agenda too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the women should be knowing about civics that are in the trades. They should know how this works and
Yep.
and why we and how we can go after daycare and how we can go at sexual harassment, stopping that and
Right.
from happening on all jobs. The way you can have better places where you go to the bathroom at. I'm not saying we need a flush toilet and everything, but the sanitary needs to be better at what they're looking at,
Yep.
and two, why there are not more women that are business managers, business agents, even instructors. I
Right.
mean, we can just say 525. I can put it out there. I'm part of that hall, and there's no women instructors there. There's not. We have one, but we're not going to talk about her because she's not doing her job. But there's no women business agents. There's no women even going for a business manager in that, and that's not good. Especially you have these commercials. Oh, we want women. And, right, and they have a big old women in trades committee too, right? That's not
Mhm.
doing what it's supposed to be doing, So how is it you're saying you want women in here, but then behind the scenes, you're talking smack about women in the trades and making comments about the reason why women don't get into trades because their menstrual cycle. And I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. Or women are not getting into trades because don't have families, because we want to be women to get into. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, really? This is what we're telling these women out here. Or they don't talk about recidivism, how women that are in jail and prisons, like, it doesn't matter about your past, ladies.
Right.
You can get into trades. And like you always tell me, we're tax-paying citizens. That's every right to be able to make. We should be able to make 70 to 100,000 a year.
Yeah, that money is taxpayers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but now the apprenticeships and all that's running through CSN. And so everything running through the College of Southern Nevada has to be under EEOC rules. And so this type of stuff won't be allowed. It has to be open to all of our students. If our students feel like they're being sexually harassed, they can file a report through our EEOC office. Once you're in higher ed, you have to follow a bunch of very strict rules.
Yes, which is not happening at all. We should, and even the bill that I just passed try to pass a data bill and the mandated 2% bill. And then now they're doing all kinds of residential housing and keep saying, oh, we don't have the workforce. We don't have the workforce. Well, if you would have passed the bills that we worked on to help with the women, we would have, I'm not saying solve the problem for it, but we'd be in a different space right now. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting that the jobs that pay $60 an hour are mostly men. And in the unions that are mostly women, so SEIU, the nurses union, teachers, they're not making $60 an hour.
Culinary.
Mm-mm.
No. And there's no daycare.
Right. And I have reporters that will call me all the time, every legislative session about, oh, we have a female majority legislature. And yet every single legislative session, we're ranked 47th at child well-being. We're ranked 50th in education. We're ranked 49th in affordability of childcare. Okay, we have all of these female legislators, but nothing has really changed because it's still the donors who are controlling what makes it through our legislative session.
And that is truth, because that's we just at a place, Hispanics in politics. Well, that was said very clear that these women didn't pass, that are in Senate didn't pass the bill. So now we need a primary. And I'm like, wow.
But see, that's why we need open primaries. I'm sure everybody heard Elon Musk and Donald Trump telling the Republicans, we're going to primary you. To me, that's like the number one reason to do open primaries, because then it allows the person to vote their conscience. Because now they're not thinking, okay, if they primary me in my closed Republican primary, they can bump me out. Well, if you're in an open primary, go talk to the Democrats and the nonpartisans. You can talk to everybody and get votes.
Yes.
And so if you do open primaries, that threat of we're going to primary you goes away.
Right. Yeah. And even here, though, don't we have voting that we do open primary with?
So everything down ballot's already open primary. So everything from city council down. So city council, the school board, the board of regents, the judges, the sheriff, those are already, the mayor's races, those are already open primary. And so this idea that somehow it's a radical idea that we should have open primaries in Nevada, I'm like, we already have open primaries in all the down ballot races.
Yeah.
It's already that way.
Yeah.
And so we're just talking about applying that exact same way we do down ballot races to the top of the ticket races. To me, having it two ways, that's confusing.
Yeah. Yeah. We already.
It's like, why is the county commission a closed primary and the city council an open primary? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
And again, if the parties want to decide who their nominee is, who their person is, great. You spend your own money and have a convention or a caucus or something and do it that way. You can decide. But then we, the voters, should be able just to vote to decide who moves forward.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to 2026 now, because I know I'm working with you on the ballot, and I might do something myself with my data bill.
Yep. We're going to do the oral history.
Yes, we're doing that, and we're gonna do some surveys on asking women questions about the trades and what happened in there, and so that's coming out. We're working with Nevada Veteran Caucus to be doing their veteran endorsements and asking very specific questions, especially to these judges, because I think the judges need to be answering some questions.
That's in 2026, all of our district court judges are up for election. There are 54 district court judge seats. It is a lot. There's going to be a lot of judges. And so, I mean, this bugs me too, that the Democrats were saying, oh, if you do open primaries with ranked choice voting, the ballot's just going to be pages and pages. Yet it was the Democrats who decided that our district court judges should all run at the same time. And there's 54 seats. So there's going to be pages and pages of judges. And they don't do anything to help people understand what judges do, what the courts are, none of it.
Yep. And two, you're supposed to be able to go in a courtroom when you want to, and I've been hearing, well, you need to let the judge know when you're, what?
No, anybody can sit in the gallery.
No. If I'm not talking to you or setting a meeting, we can go into any courtroom that we want to be an observer. There's nothing. They even tell you to do that so you can see how and then that's a way to see how the system works too, right?
Exactly.
It's going in there.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Wow. This has been something. I just want to put in there about Nevada Women in Trades too, about us. We have our pipeline class that's coming up, and we're putting it all over Facebook about being able to get into our program. And so I want to put that out there a little bit. And if you are interested in getting in the trades, ladies, you can get on our website at www.nevada spelled out, wit.org. And you can see how in about what the trades do. And if you want to be participating in our pipeline class that we're doing, that will be starting in October. So please, everybody, get on our website and check that out. Sandra, do you have any last words?
No, I just need everybody to be ready to be a primary voter. That primary that we're going to have, that's going to happen in June. If people in the down ballot races, those open primary races, if they get 50% plus one, they win in the primary. Our current sheriff, won in a primary last time. And a lot of young people don't vote in the primary. You got to be a primary voter.
Yeah, we got to pay attention.
Get ready
this time, everybody. We got to get ready to vote. We got to make sure that these people out here that are running, that they do town halls, everybody.
Yes.
And ask them why they're not doing them. And
we're going to have tons of stuff. At CSN, it's going to be me, Evelyn, Rachel. There's a bunch of us. We are getting ready right now. Starting in the fall. We're not waiting until the spring. We're starting in the fall.
No, we're already starting, everybody. So please, again, check out your website, your information, Sandra.
Oh, sure. So Vote Nevada. If you just Google Vote Nevada, on the blog, we have all of the recordings. We have 6 working groups that we're doing for our summer of civics. You can join one, join them all. And that's where you can subscribe and you can get my information. So every time we're doing an event, anytime Evelyn and I are partnering on something, you'll know so you can come.
There we go. Vote Nevada, everybody.
And if anybody says I'm sneaking around, it's all on my blog. I have no reason to sneak around. I will tell you what I'm doing.
No, you're not sneaking. No.
It's like I'm like, oh, she's sneaking around. It's like I just posted it on social media, so I don't think that's sneaking around.
No, we're not sneaking. No, there's no sneaking at all. We're right here in front of your face, and look, we're on a Zoom telling you about what we're doing too. So.
And we do recordings, and we send the recording out, and they're like, hey, look at this.
Yeah, there's recordings too on all the meetings.
And I tell people, hey, you want to know what I'm doing? Call me. I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be all out there. I mean, as soon as the fall starts, we're going to hit the road. Yes.
And if you want to join everybody and learn some more civics and learn how the state of Nevada works, please join us on Vote Nevada. And I guess we'll end it here. And thank you for coming on. And you'll be back here soon because we got to finish, giving you the update, everybody, on how we're doing.
Yay.
Yay. No problem. So we're going to end with the mission statement, everybody. And the mission statement is to empower all women, and for us to hold hands as we rise. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by Envision U. Envision U has discovered how to impact spirit, body, and soul with spray technology in just 30 seconds. With Envision U, you can achieve optimal health and start living the life you have always dreamed of. Use the promo code envisinu.com/VernDix to take control of your health naturally. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.